Hi there, I'm Scott Lowe with ActualTech Media. Thank you for joining us for this RoadCast video. Today we're at Hedvig, and I'm joined by Eric Carter, who is the Senior Director of Product Management. Eric, thank you for having us here today.
Great, happy to be here. Scott, thanks for coming to visit us.
Love to be here. So we're going to talk a little bit about something that people don't talk about a lot, and that's how we get technology from Facebook and Google and some of those behemoths into our own data centers. You know, we can't just directly take what they've got. We have to have people in place and companies that can actually translate that stuff to something that works better for enterprise IT. What are some of the things that Hedvig is doing to sort of democratize some of this technology that's been developed and implemented by companies like Facebook and Google?
Well, if you look back in our founding, essentially, our founder came from these companies, right? And part of the essence of who we are was to do what you just said, democratize the thinking, the technology for the enterprise. And enterprise IT organizations are very, very talented, but some of the ways that this is now being constructed is a little different than our traditional IT stacks. And so really our goal is to bring some of that thinking, that technology in so that enterprises can start to do things like be a little bit more agile, lower the costs, become more modern as a result, which we see many organizations really striving for. It essentially has set the cloud agenda for a lot of enterprises, looking at the Amazons, the Facebooks, and now that's where they're headed, and so we're there to help them.
You know, when we look at the standard enterprise, we see lots of different kinds of storage. We see SANs, we see NAS, we see object storage, and we're seeing even separate backup and recovery repositories and things like that. What are some of the things that you're doing to help customers consolidate some of these silos?
Well, from day one, or even day zero, if you want to call it that, our goal was to provide a full feature set of storage capabilities. And so what I'm talking about is, multiple protocols. People have apps that need block, file, and now even object. And so a lot of what we're doing is helping organizations as they try to even just declutter their data centers. I bought the SAN for a reason, and now I got to take care of that, and I bought my NAS and then backup storage, and now they're trying to think, what do I need to be doing with object? So our mission and our goal is to say to these organizations, hey, what if you could service all of these in a modern platform, again, thinking about bringing that technology from the Webscalers, and get to a more standardized way of delivering storage. And as a result, because we're using commodity infrastructure, so think off-the-shelf x86 hardware,
right.
Whether that's from someone like an HPE or Supermicro, it's sort of the other end of the scale. Commodity means a lot of the components are the same. Take the bezel off of some of our traditional solutions, what's inside? x86 memory flash. And so by using that type of an approach, a lot of automation, a lot of simplicity, sort of bringing that AWS-like experience to customers, they're able to consolidate a lot of these storage silos and start to deliver storage more effectively and more cost-effectively.
And when we think about what IT needs to do to really continue to meet the needs of the business, to really transform itself, it needs to act more like a service provider. So, when we look at companies like Facebook or Amazon and Google and Microsoft, and, as far as public cloud goes, they offer these infrastructure as a service capabilities that enterprise IT has not necessarily been able to match up until now. Tell us a little about the shared service model that's enabled through something like what you're providing with the Hedvig solution.
Yeah, sure, and that is essentially what we are in part looking for when we go to talk to larger enterprises. Hey, what is your agenda when it comes to trying to build a cloud-like infrastructure? Not just VMware virtualization, but with more automation, a shared services model. As a business unit needs something, can I select a few buttons and deliver that something?
Right.
And from a storage platform standpoint, that's really part of what we, again, are bringing to these clients is the ability to, whether it's done programmatically where you're linking directly to our APIs, or whether you're just simply using our easy-to-use interface and being able to provision, let's say, what we call a virtual disk. Here's 100 gigs. It's file-based. I want dedupe because this is a perfect workload for that. And you can essentially have those services provisioned out in minutes. Whereas today, oftentimes, you can imagine what it's like. I open a trouble ticket, I wait for my LUN to be provisioned, et cetera, et cetera. So as folks move toward the automation and the infrastructure as a service, as you said, what we are bringing from a storage platform standpoint makes a whole lot of sense. And one of the key aspects of that, too, is you can sort of pay and scale as you grow. So one of the promises of this, again, Facebook, Amazon way of doing things, as their user base grows, what do? Add more nodes,
right.
Scales out, things get old in the data center, pull it out. Same thing here, as you're growing your business, If you need more, you just add more. And so a lot of that makes the internal IT organization look a whole lot like a service provider, like you said, and that's what a lot of them are striving for.
And the other thing we're seeing happen in the enterprise today is this idea of digital transformation, more digital business strategies that are being implemented. We see containers, we see DevOps methodologies being brought into play where we're going to combine the development cycle more with the operations side. And we need more software-centric solutions to make that happen that are all API driven and all this other good stuff. What's Hedvig doing there to help me enable, as a CIO, a digital business strategy?
If you look in that space, there's a lot of technologies. You mentioned containers, so Docker, orchestration from folks like Kubernetes, Mesosphere, et cetera. So there's a lot of things in that ecosystem that are all being done, like you said, in the name of going digital, being more agile, being able to roll out apps very quickly. So what we're doing is we're tying into that ecosystem, making it super simple to provision storage. Instead of even asking Hedvig to provision the storage, your orchestration simply says, I need 100 gigabyte volume again, and automatically it gets delivered. So again, that's all really in the name of agility. If we look at the storage consolidation, sometimes that's about cost. Infrastructure as a service might be around the operational side of things. And DevOps and this whole digital agenda is really about moving quickly.
Right.
And so part of what we enable, whether again it's through our rich set of APIs, if you're a CLI type of guru, you can do that with Hedvig. It's really about tying in super tightly with now containers and those driving your digital agenda. Again, we make it really a simple proposition, and that's something that traditional storage vendors just simply can't do.
Right.
Now, one thing I haven't mentioned is part of what Hedvig does is enable you to build this on premises and to be able to span into a public cloud, for instance. So let's say you want some of your workloads in your own private data center, but want to be able to actually leverage Amazon or Azure. You can manage the storage system as one complete unit, replicating between them. You can move workloads between them, and guess what? The storage is there because that's a part of what we do. We see that being part and parcel to a lot of these digital agendas where you may want to leverage different clouds at different times, and we're able to support that.
So are the workloads directly translatable into the cloud? Are you running the Hedvig bits in the cloud provider as well so that it just shifts over?
Exactly. So from a storage standpoint, we would be running on what looks like x86 servers in the cloud and being able to deliver that storage layer for you there. And if you're using VMware, now Amazon's moving in that direction where you can float VMs back and forth seamlessly. We can ensure that the data is there that represents that VM. So there's a logical movement, but the data is already replicated there based on the policy that you set up. And that's our forte, is to enable you to set policies by VM, by container, by application. It's not a one size fits all. And that's been really well received by our customers because they realize not all workloads are the same, and therefore I want that control, and we give you that control.
Eric, thank you so much for having us here today.
Great talking to you, Scott. Thank you.
And thank you to the audience for watching this video.